Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's having a good night.
Hey, how's it going? I'm rolling a joint. Do you like how it looks up my nose?
I want you to give me some bacon for being late. Subscribe to my channel or I'm coming for all your bacon.
Yeah, our viewers are going to come for our bacon if we don't start going live at the time there.
Oh, geez. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but kosher bacon is actually back.
Really?
It's in fact back bacon. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Canadian bacon is kosher.
Nice. Nice.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Lori. Hello, Diane.
Obviously, we'll end up with 10 different... Oh, my goodness. Hold on. There's somebody coming in the driveway. One sec.
It's the police. They heard that we said bacon was kosher, and now they're very upset.
Oh, shit.
Sorry,
it's just
guys.
like that.
Oh, my goodness. Hey! No more!
It's like that wagyu bacon or wagyu
Get
steak.
over here! Get over here!
Oh, that's so funny.
I smell a pig coming. That's what he's telling you. He smells a pig coming.
No, there's somebody in the driveway.
Oh.
Don't they know that you got a stream going on, that they're interrupting the stream? Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Woof, woof, woof.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of a joint because we're going to be talking about legal things tonight. And that's the fuel for a lot of my legal thinking. It's the only way to make it make sense, really.
Yep. Totally agree with that. The legal way is the only way nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I think there's a lot of good information that's out there on websites like Criminal Law Notebook or Canley.org. You know, those are great websites for people to start to gain a little bit of an understanding of how to navigate their way around a courtroom.
Yep.
You know, because there's real opportunities to kind of set precedents in courtrooms, or even just keep yourself out of jail or from having to pay an unreasonable fine if you know how to use the legal system.
So, sorry about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kind of go over a little bit of sovereign citizen stuff. I have a couple questions for Thomas that I think he may be able to answer, and also give you sources on where you can find this information. Now, I don't know how long this stream is going to last because apparently this is a very, very, very touchy subject. And if y'all know YouTube censorship, well, hey. Hi, guys. I'm YouTube, and you can post anything you want, but just so you know, I'm probably going to give you a strike on it.
Chris, you frozen? No, I'm not frozen. I'm still here, guys. Probably just the way I was placed there.
He's just cold.
Lucy, stop, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'm
You're
always
okay.
cold. What's up? Oh, Lucifer.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm personally, I'm a critic of a lot of the sovereign citizen movement. I think they have good ideas, but I think those ideas tend not to stand up in court, and it gets a lot of the people that support those ideas into trouble unnecessarily.
Really? Why wouldn't it stand up in court though? Because, oh, go ahead, Coda, if you want to explain it.
What am I explaining here?
What is sovereign citizenship?
So basically, as a sovereign citizen, so when you're born, you are a sovereign citizen. I don't really know how to explain it. Basically, you don't fall under certain rules for the government. The government doesn't really have control over you. You can have a specific birth certificate where I don't remember what it's called. I think Thomas might know the name of it.
The registration of live birth.
Right, the live birth certificate. Right. So basically, you're not a number anymore. You're an independent citizen of your own free will, free whatever. And so, you'll have a right of travel, passage, all that. Certain taxes you won't have to pay. Certain things you won't have to do. Again, I didn't do as much research as I should have done. So I've been really busy this weekend with clipping, making videos and shorts and editing and trying to get a schedule and trying to do a bunch of stuff. And Chris has been trying to do merch, and we've been really busy. And yeah, so I haven't gotten very much information.
I'll get some.
But Thomas, if you would be able to elaborate a little bit.
So, like a big thing is that a lot of the claims that this movement makes about like what you can and can't do with a series of documents as far as registration of live birth. You know, like there's people that claim they can drive around without a license and insurance and stuff like that, and that the cops don't hassle them. And that might be true that the cops don't hassle them, but you know, if the cops pull you over and all you have is this series of documents, you're going to get arrested. And then once you're arrested, you're going to find yourself in custody, and you're going to be already over the bar of the law as a prisoner. So then half of all of this admiralty maritime law philosophy, which is interesting stuff, and you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not interesting legal philosophy, but as far as a practical day-to-day civilian interaction with the legal process, this sovereign citizen information will render you useless and entirely dependent on a lawyer. I'll give you a perfect example. We all know Pat King, who is now being, he can't use social media, right?
Yeah.
And those are because bail conditions that Pat King, well, to put it more accurately, Pat King's lawyer agreed to those bail conditions, right? Now, I had a thing where, you know, the government tried to put me away for 14 years over a YouTube video that they didn't like. And they tried to slap the same bail condition on me that they slapped on Pat King. And I protested. And I said that that was unconstitutional. And the justice of the peace, who was presiding over the bail hearing, agreed and mandated that the bail condition be altered. Now, if Pat King had that same level of legal knowledge of like just what his basic charter rights were and how to assert them in the courtroom, he wouldn't have even necessarily needed a lawyer to deal with the mischief charge or to get through the bail hearing, right? Instead of having thousands of people that are trained in how to navigate the current legal system that we have and get the justice that we want, we have thousands of people that are learning a whole alternative justice system that doesn't exist and that renders those people powerless in our courts currently. That's my issue with the sovereign citizen movement.
Coda, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know I was on mute.
Oh, okay.
I was just showing y'all that I was giving Lucifer some love.
Some loving.
I'm just trying to calm him down. He's just, I don't know, being weird.
That's not Canada.
We gotta be quiet, okay, buddy? Okay? You gotta be quiet. Be good. Relax for a bit. Wouldn't Pat King's lawyer know that?
Well, yeah.
They
And
should.
so that's the whole thing is the patriot community. You like what are we really? Who is our adversary? Our adversary is the establishment, and the establishment is a shifty prick, and that means the majority of lawyers you can't trust. Like it's the same thing with Shane Marshall's case that just happened. Nothing against his lawyer, but his lawyer was interested in grandstanding and trying to make it so he could do a cross-examination of Justin Trudeau, right? And the pre-trial evidentiary hearings, they didn't make the case that would allow Trudeau to be there as a witness, that would require him to be there as a witness. And my old position on it is that I would make the Crown prove that a pebble was a weapon. Now what ended up happening is because they weren't able to do their evidentiary hearing, he ended up taking a plea to a lesser charge, which sometimes if it's a choice between going down for an assault charge or having no defense against assault with a weapon, maybe it's smart to take the plea on the assault charge.
Yeah. Hey Dan, how's it going? Hey Mr. Green Thumb.
Yeah, Thomas, you sound like someone I really need to talk to backstage. I need to have a phone call with you.
Yeah, man. I do.
Yeah.
I try and do a lot to help people understand basic legal principles, because I think once you have a grasp under some of like what the basic tenets of Canadian law are, it's a lot easier to navigate and get through the court process without getting screwed over.
Okay, here we go. Look at that.
I don't know if you can see it. It looks pretty blurry here. But I'll just read the just top part here. The sovereignty of Canada is, in strict legal terms, the power of Canada to govern itself and its subjects. It is the ultimate source of Canada's law and order. Sovereignty is also a major cultural matter in Canada. Several issues currently define Canadian sovereignty. The major monarchy, telecommunication, the autonomy, of provinces, and Canada's Arctic borders.
Yeah. So that's closer to like what the principle of Canadian sovereignty is, which is like national independence.
Yeah.
The concept of sovereign citizen is being an independent person within an independent nation. And then to make matters even more confusing, because English is wonderful, another term for a monarch is the sovereign, right? So, um,
I'm just on wiki.
Lori Dawn said this Thomas guy has a soothing voice. I like it. And Fortnite's worst player, politicians' only job is to protect the rich. And I actually kind of agree with that.
well, I mean, it is currently, but it shouldn't be, right? Like the politician's job is really supposed to be to protect the people from the multinational corporations and foreign governments. You know, that's what the government is supposed to be doing. But they're
Diane Paulin says all lawyers are on the bar. They are making all the money.
yeah, lawyers charge way too much money for what they do. As someone that knows how to practice law about as well as any criminal defense lawyer, these people charge a ridiculous amount of money for their work, and they don't really work very hard at all.
Right.
No, because it's all their clerks that do the work.
I mean,
they're assistants.
a lot of the time, but then they also have to do like a lot of. But the point is, it's just reading, right? And if you've read the laws in one area of law, and this is why lawyers tend to practice in only one area of law, is because then you know all the cases that can be cited in a trial. You know, because that's how the legal system works. Is that there's this thing called stare decisis, which means the previous decision has to stand. So, you know, if you bring up a case from 1986 where it's a similar fact pattern to your situation and the court ruled favorably, then you can present that case to the court and the court will have to follow that decision again, right?
Right. Yeah, because
And like if more patriots,
sovereignty simply put means the authority to decide. McSkin, British accredited Regency bar. And then Fortnite's worst player. I trust politicians like I trust my farts. Never.
My cousin's a lawyer in Montreal. He charges
$4,500 an hour criminal law.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. Like I don't think a lawyer should be able to charge more than say a plumber or electrician, you know, because to like this skill set isn't particularly hard.
No,
well, it's like me roofing. Anyone can do it. I've been doing it so long, I don't even got to think about my job. I just do it.
Yeah. But the thing is, as a roofer, I guarantee you work harder than this guy's brother that makes $4,500 an hour doing lawyer, you know?
Right. And I don't make that in a week.
Yeah. And that's like one of the bigger problems with the justice system is that there's no justice in it. And at the same time, all these fucking lawyers are making ridiculous amounts of money. And at the end of the day, the service that they're providing sucks.
Right. Like, I don't know. What are you really going to do for me to make me want to pay you $4,000 an hour? Like, seriously.
I'll give you a perfect example with my case where I was looking at going away for 14 years over a YouTube video. I paid a lawyer $1,000 to take a look at my disclosure and to give an opinion. She basically pre-negotiated a 2-year plea deal because at the time I was looking at a 14-year sentence.
Right.
And so she was like, thanks for $1,000. My advice is that we either plead NCR or take a 2-year plea deal. And I was like, that's ridiculous. So I ended up taking it to court myself and representing myself and beating the charge, right? And it's like, she's the professional there. Why was I able to, like, do you know what I mean? Like, her best advice would have had me go to jail for 2 years for something that, as it turns out, I did nothing wrong.
Right.
Right.
Well, at the end of the day, like, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, are we not?
I mean, we are supposed to have freedom of speech and stuff. And I think, the court system being as fucked up as it is the main reason why so many people are interested in this sovereign citizen movement, because it's like they're dissatisfied with the court system and the system as it exists, right? And like how they're seeing it play out in their lives and in their communities. So I can obviously, I first started researching and then going to school for law because of my interest in what was known as free men on the land, which is an offshoot of sovereign citizenship. And it's again the same kind of admiralty law, maritime law kind of perspective of the court system.
Right.
And it didn't work. I got in trouble and I couldn't get out of trouble. And so that's when I started learning how the actual legal system worked. And, I think once you start getting a grasp of those basic tenets of the system, you can actually be very effective for the movement in court, right? Because at the end of the day, the lawyers, we don't have like a profession of Atticus Finch people that are practicing law. You know what I mean? From like To Kill a Mockingbird, that like very correct archetype of what I think a lot of people would expect a good defense lawyer to be. That just doesn't exist in our society, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what's so sad, man. Like, I don't know, it'd just be easier. It would be easier the other way, It would be easier to be better. It would be easier to do better. It would be easier to cut costs on shit. It would be easier just to be not this, I guess. I don't know. I don't really I don't even know what to say anymore because it's just, man, Canada's dead. We're in communist land now, right? So what do? Like this sovereign citizen shit, they're gonna stop all that anyways, man. Once enough people sign up to try to do this, they're gonna come out with this new fucking law. Oh, blah 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 blah. You can't be a sovereign citizen. Blah blah blah. Right? Like,
I mean, the project that I'm working on involves replacing the British monarchy with the First Nations hereditary and clans mother system. And the idea is that how much we pay to the British royals and shit like that, right?
mm-hmm.
So instead, we just kind of have it go to these various hereditaries, and they're like not the Indian Act people; they're different, and they're generally the more spiritual people that are like kind of doing the traditions and whatnot. But what we do is we recognize those people as the monarchs, and then we have a republic with a representative democracy that gets authority from that, just like how our current system does. But it, because you change the monarch, it allows for a whole structure shift, right? Like that's what that project is that I'm working on with Chief Anderson, and the Republican Empire book that I have that's out, and the Republic of the Free West website that I have up, and it's like it takes time, I think, to introduce people to a new way to think about organizing and structuring our
But how do we
society.
get? My question, really quick,
Yeah.
is how do we get to that level with all the division and everything that's being caused right now, right? Like, how do we get people to actually want to do all this, to get
Uh,
on board with it?
I
What like my question was find out what every single human being has in common besides your blood color.
well, I think that we were all created by this divine being that has
Oh,
a vision for our lives, for us to behave in a way that doesn't cause harm, damage, or loss to another person, right? Like that's something that I think the sovereign citizenship people and myself would agree on, of that being the general basis of natural law, right? That anything where you're starting to cause harm, damage, or loss is where you're in violation of something, right?
right.
And any man-made law where you're not causing harm, damage, or loss, that should be a law that shouldn't really be a law, right?
Well, my buddy Martin Luther here says, technically we are all sober and agree to their terms. Pull out your license and look at your name, all caps, which is not proper English, i.e., it isn't you. It's a corporate entity you agree to rep.
Yep.
There's also
Yep.
12 kids from local high school are as tough as Canadian military.
I mean, the thing about the corporation thing, it's technically true, but that's also just like a mode of functionality for your interactions with the state, right? Your corporate identification, is I don't think it's anything to be up in arms about, frankly. You know,
Oscar
it's,
Vogel says UCC 1-207. What's that mean?
That's probably somewhere in the
Is that a code in the
act.
Charter of Rights? Could be a section in the Charter of Rights.
Probably.
Brian says the only way to get back to where we should be is to hold your local government accountable. And I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that I've been seeing out west that have been doing some actions to hold their local officials accountable, and I think it was something to do with a farming zoning shift or something that was going to make it so people were going to be kicked off their properties, and so they
Right.
were able. I think they were able to push back against that. I was hearing something about that when I was out at Camp Hope.
Says you can sign something without giving up your rights. Uniform Commercial Code, UCC. Lucifer, knock it off.
So much.
Who would know that a dog named Lucifer would have behavioral issues?
First people.
Diana, I agree. Everyone needs to drop the egos, stop the division. Unity is what we need.
Yep.
Maritime law. Jordan Maxwell has good talk on maritime law. Talked about this for 60 years. UCC 1-207 is US. You can't vote your way out of infiltration cabinets. All of that is a distraction. We need a public inquiry into our own government employees, paid consultants, and lobbyists. Only then can we fix Canada and all the other governments around the world by example?
Yeah, that's absolutely that's hitting the nail right on the head there. You know, I'm reading this book right now by this guy, Vladimir Bukovsky, and he was a Soviet political dissident. And his whole thing was he was trying to get there to be like Nuremberg style trials at the fall of the Soviet Union. And he ended up
Right.
getting, I think, maybe like 10 or 12,000 pages of classified documents from the Central Committee of the Soviet Union. And so he read through all of these documents and such, and the big holdback that he found to trying to get these trials to happen in Moscow was communist sympathizers in the West. And the other interesting thing about this book is that it wasn't fully translated into English until 2016. And at that point, it was only translated into English to try and stir up hysteria about Trump and Russia and infiltration, right? But they didn't want to publish this book, and it was initially written in 1994, and it was published in German and in French and Dutch and Russian and Czechoslovak, and like all the languages this book was published in, but not in English. And now reading it, you start to get a grasp of how this kind of socialist, communist regime operates. And everyone in this chat should probably realize that they're on some kind of list, and the thing is that we outnumber the state. That's the most important thing that the freedom movement has to understand at the end of the day, is that we outnumber the state 10-1.
Oh yeah.
So,
for sure.
So everyone has to keep their game tough. But yeah, man, there's
Who says being a sovereign citizen is not a real thing?
I mean, okay, let's say you are accused of murder. A body is found on your farm. You didn't even do anything, okay? But a body is found on your farm, and they want to take you in for questioning, right? Do you think I don't consent to contract and like I'm just asking you to be real and to hear out how you think this is going to play out, because the reality that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge about law is that all law is enforced at the end of a barrel of a gun. So this goes back to like ancient Rome, and might makes right, and all these other kind of things. Like there's a certain point where you have to be able to acknowledge where your shit's not going to work and when it breaks down and becomes impractical, and that's one of those spaces.
Right.
Being a sovereign citizen, the real thing, you know the rights you don't want to know. No, that's like any other police or anybody else there. They don't want people to know their rights because they can play you more easier.
Right. They can basically, if you don't know your rights, they can do whatever they want to you.
Yep.
Well, and I'd say like a lot of this, not all, but like some of this sovereign citizen stuff tricks people into like what, like it robs them of not knowing what their rights really are and how they can really navigate the court system. Like with the time and energy that these people spend learning this whole theory of law that doesn't stand up in court, they could learn the real theory of law and come to principles that would find that would make it so they could navigate the court system that exists and set precedents that are then favorable to how we want things to be in society.
Right. Can't just claim claim to be sober and sorry, I just got a funny ass text message from my buddy. I love you, Martin Luther. Just okay. You can't just claim to be a sovereign and expect that the rules of Canada do not apply. Fortnite's worst players. Your rights are only your rights until you're wrong. McSkin, because the bill he was forced to sign would violate the rights of the state's provincial inhabitants. Canada, you need to know. Agreed, poo.
Bacon raid.
Bacon raid. Hey, what's going on?
We're
Andrew?
getting raided. Oh.
Your rights are written into the Crown Constitution and are unacceptable. They have twisted it to make you feel powerless. Thomas is right. The answer is in the people and juries.
Yep.
Well, bacon.
I mean, believe it or not, there's a lot of sympathetic judges as well. Not all, you know.
If they're not libertards.
But there are.
Here's a good question. Hey, here's a really good question for the disabled people out there. How does Sovereign Citizen deal with disabled social programs?
You're on your own.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that you have no access to those programs because you don't have you've rescinded your legal fiction theoretically, right? That's the claim of the sovereign citizens, that they've rescinded their legal fiction.
But
right?
Thomas, here it says dual consent. As an example of dual consent, it is possible for a citizen of Canada to become a member of the Interactive Sovereign Society without relinquishing status as a Canadian under the authority of the government headed by Her Majesty. This would be somewhat like having a dual citizenship. That way, the member would still have a voice in democratically determine the laws for which the sovereign member of the ISS are responsible, but would not have to compromise allegate to her or his queen.
What website is this off of?
ISIS Society of Sovereignty of the Individuals. Here, I'll share it.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's binding in any way.
Notice they call our states a nation now.
Yeah.
That's the website.
Okay.
This is where Chris is right now?
Yep. That's the website I'm at, guys.
Yeah. So, like in my
Canadian
view,
when it's convenient, and then when it's inconvenient, you're a sovereign.
Not to be the fact checker buzzkill.
No, that's okay. I'd rather that, right?
Yeah, but that's like where I kind of go, yeah, this isn't, this isn't Queen Ramona, but it's not not in the neighborhood,
Okay.
I'm just keeping an open mind, honestly.
Yeah, and I think by all means, that's the most important thing. Keep an open mind about all of that stuff. But I think really good websites to check out are criminal law notebook.com and canley.org is where you can find a lot of different case law. And if
do you have any of the links for any of these, would you be able to send them to me on Messenger or anything? I can post them into the live chat, or
yeah,
no
let me just grab them. I want to make sure this. I'm still here, right?
Okay. Yeah. And nothing.
Okay.
Thing is, the globalists and WEF are bringing in their own rules under the guise of a Green New Deal, but it's not legal or constitutional, and nothing to do with the environment.
Yeah, the Green New Deal is no bueno, and it didn't the rights that you have under the charter already, right?
But I'd like to read this thing that Oscar just said because it's pretty cool and inspirational, I think.
What's that?
All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither.
Show.
Deep roots are not touched by the frost. From the ashes, a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed be the blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king.
It sounds from a familiar book.
Pardon?
It sounds from a familiar book.
Pretty sure. What? Martin Luther King. Pretty sure. I don't know. Oh, Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
So if y'all are wondering what I'm munching on, I'll quickly show you.
Nice.
Peanut butter pretzels.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Whoops.
No, I clicked it out.
Oh. So, does anybody have any more questions? Does anyone have anything else they would like to add? Anything like that? Yes, no, maybe so. I know Thomas was going to grab a couple links there. Oh, yeah, he just sent me one, actually, too.
There you go.
Into the chat here. Sorry,
so
I'm
guys,
a little behind.
Anybody wants to do their own research?
Yeah, the links that he's about to share in the chat, that's for if you want to know how to do actual law stuff that'll help you get through a real court proceeding with a real judge. Those are really good links to help you navigate that process should you ever find yourself in that situation.
Yes, I would like to add that there is a revolution going on in England to restore our sovereignty, which will help you Canadians too.
Right.
Well, Daisy, that's wonderful.
Good to know. Well, we need trials like before, like with real juries.
Oscar says it seems appropriate because I believe many of the sovereign citizens' beliefs are based on we are all still kings.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice idea, right? But we're not actually still kings. And we never were, for that matter, you know.
I feel like I fall more under the peasant category.
Yeah. You know, I seem to be an okay laborer, you know, struggling about. But you know, I think big changes can come, and I think that's the big reason why there's so much interest in this sovereign citizen and law stuff. And you know, I think there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the current court system, which is why this stuff is becoming so popular.
Right.
And you know, I think just because the current class of lawyers sucks, and maybe like 20 to 30% of the judges are corrupt as sin, I don't think that means that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, like I think if we could flood Canada's courtrooms with not expert litigators, but people that, instead of, you know, wasting the court's time engaging in like an admiralty law debate, or like trying to make the court prove its jurisdiction or anything like that, just try and navigate our way through the cases that we find ourselves engaged in a way that would set meaningful precedents for future members of all people in society, because that's the whole thing. When you set a precedent in court, is that it changes how the state is allowed to treat everyone, you know.
Trish says, does Canada have jury duty for citizens? How are juries picked? 12 of your peers? And then Pooh says, can you show one example of where a sovereign citizen defense was successful?
So there is jury duty. Jurors, just like in the U.S., can be bounced for no reason by either Crown or defense. In all trials, a defendant has the right to opt for trial by judge alone. You only have a right to a jury trial if you're facing an indictable offense with a punishment of more than 2 years, which most indictable offenses would be. So that's kind of the ins and outs. You don't always get a jury, but you know, the majority of the cases that I've argued have been before judge alone, and I've done okay, you know.
Right. Well, too many people talking about sovereign citizen when asked don't have a clue what it really is. They just heard it from someone who has no clue.
Well, I mean, I've read through, what was it, the Constitutional Convention's website, you know, and a bunch of other, you know, it's not the first incarnation of this project, you know. And you know, something to point out about that Constitutional convention's website, is that they initially stole the majority of their work from Jake Jacobson, a guy in the United States that was talking about like a natural law republic. And the whole thing is the legal concept of a natural law republic. It's almost like a form of anarchy. It it does like it's not a realistic system for governing. Like I talk to a lot of people that have these kind of views, and the conversation always gets to a point of like, okay, you're independent, your community of your 600 sovereign guys in your field in Saskatchewan, you're all independent, and there's another 600 or 700 guys in a field in Alberta, and they're all independent. Okay, so then China invades. Who's doing common defense? How does that work?
Hey, Ted.
Right? Like, it's just how are we going to do trade? What about these nuclear power plants that we have running, or how are those going to not burn out? Have we figured out how we're going to keep the electricity going? Like, and so I think we do ourselves a disservice when we kind of chase these pie in the sky ideas that divorce ourselves from how to take over the real mechanisms of the society that we're in, instead of reinventing one.
Which is, Daisy, the opposite of what they're doing right now. So, Mr. Green Thumb, I live in Quebec before, and that is one of the tactics used to deflect citizen. The feds hit us good with this, but it can work. Just have to learn your law. Daisy says, anarchy is self-determination, not relying on the government. The government is there to govern and protect us, which is not what they're doing. Grand jury has way more power than they realize. Power to investigate the government. Yes, exactly. They are not doing their job, which is why we need to hold them accountable and make them do their job properly.
Well, Canada doesn't have grand juries, right? Like, that's an American legal concept. In Canada, you can launch what's called a private prosecution, which is a different thing. But it's there isn't like a grand jury process in Canada. So this is I think a larger issue, is that our legal system is very different than what is presented to us in U.S. television shows. So it's I'm not saying it's necessarily great or better, but it's just different.
Right. Right. Well, I think the only thing we can really do now is unite together, stand up, stop the division, hold local governments accountable, get your message out there, see your local MP, send emails, phone calls, see them in person, do anything you can, and get more and more people on board. Really, we need more people doing stuff like that, because the more changes we can make as a people, the more we can stop this communist crap.
Well, I mean, so many of these things are going to be violations of your basic charter rights, right? And right now, so many of our people are focused on this type of, what I'll say is, in my view, maybe a bit of a distraction. And so instead of learning how to argue, that being restricted in your 15-minute city is a restriction on your freedom of movement.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Like I look at it like we're coming into a period where there's going to be like many legal battles fought, and we're sending all these people into those fights with diapers and water guns like instead of the real tools that they need to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Brian says Canadians can be confused about the difference between Canadian law and U.S. law, which is absolutely correct. There's a lot of people who do confuse the Charter of Rights with the
The Bill of
what's
Rights.
the U.S. one called? Statute of Rights.
The American Constitution, you have like the different amendments, but you have the Constitution.
Right, the main one, the Constitution, yeah. So they have the Constitution, we have the Charter of Rights.
We have a Constitution too.
A lot of people get it confused though, right? Some people lose track on what's what.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the Canadian stuff is just not really well taught. You know, it's
not, man. It's really not. But
oh, look at that. Chris has got a real criminal code. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, Chris, look up 46(1)(c).
46(1)(c).
Yeah.
Page 46, section 1C. Most governments are behaving like criminals. Yes, they are. We have...
Like, are you talking about high treason?
Yeah.
Okay. Assist an enemy at war with Canada, or an army forced against whom Canadian forces are engaged in hostilities, whether or not a state of war exists between Canada and the country whose forces they are.
So, in 2014, the Conservative opposition put forward a motion to block the return of ISIS fighters and to block their return into Canada.
Yes.
The Liberal, NDP, and Bloc all voted down that motion and instead voted to not only welcome these people back into Canada, but to give them social assistance. Now, ironically, one of the longest sniper kills in the world was confirmed to be taken by a Canadian Special Forces sniper against an ISIS target. So, given what you just read there in 46(1)(c) of the Criminal Code of Canada, how is it not that those parties that voted to give entry and not only assistance, but social assistance to returning ISIS fighters, how are those members of government not guilty of treason?
Daisy says most governments are guilty of high treason.
Yep. Like, there's no explanation to that one.
Pooh Scissors, the Constitution of a modern state will do at least three things. First, it will establish the institutions of government and the way in which power is divided and separated by establishing who gets to decide on which issues sovereignty. Second, the Constitution will establish the political and civic rights of the population.
I don't know. Do we want to take constitutional advice from a guy with a handle named Pooh Scissors?
I think I'd rather get it from here.
Like,
Pooh Scissors is all right. He's funny.
Yeah,
Third, the Constitution will establish a procedure for changing or amending the Constitution. He said you probably do, actually. You probably do want to take advice from a guy named Pooh.
Right?
Pooh Scissors. Pooh Scissors. It's like, I guess, a sphincter. Okay.
Sphincter. The people have to be in control of the Constitution. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But at this point, it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Because I hate to say it, and I'm sorry if this offends people, but people are chicken shits, and that's just a fact.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, if you're not a chicken shit, you're just so brainwashed from birth, from all the government stipulations and shit that the controlling, the telling you when and where to piss and shit and eat and sleep and whatever. They're used to that. So when someone comes out and says, "Oh, well, the government's lying to you and blah blah blah," and they're not doing the job that they're supposed to do, what do? I don't believe you. I'm going to go get my, and I'm going to go wear my mask, and I'm going to go do this and do that. And guess what? I'm still free.
Yeah. Yep. It's a not groovy kind of time to be alive. But, I've been seeing this shit happening for a long time, like Canada was like this long before COVID,
Oh, yeah, it was.
Like, do you remember what it was like being hip to 9/11 truth, being surrounded by a bunch of people that just wanted to watch the Kardashians?
Right.
My God.
It's true.
Oh, what a terrible time that was. So,
Oh, dude.
That's the upswing of COVID, is that it's made more conspiracy theorists.
Daisy says, yes, Coda, but the world is always changed by a handful of people, rarely the masses. The point of the Constitution is to place limits on the exercise of power so that the persons who are entrusted to represent the people act accordingly to the law rather than rule by decree. All of this has been long planned. Haha, don't let the name fool you.
Oh yeah, that's not a constitution, right? I love when that whole fucking nonsense gets going there. It's literally right there. I mean, I'm not even saying I like it, I think we can change our constitution into something else, but like, let's not kid ourselves. That is a constitution.
Yeah, I remember that, Mr. Green Thumb. I remember the women's rights being approved. I was young, but I remember.
Which constitution do we want?
I mean, I like the Republic of the Free West thing that I was working on. The Chief Anderson likes it. There's a few different groups now that are working on it. There's some groups in northern BC, and it's slowly kind of matriculating around. It's it's an action plan to try and save Canada and change the monetary system and change the legal system and do a major military buildup where we design and manufacture tanks and planes and ships and tanks and all those kinds of things in country, and generate thousands of jobs, and both in the military and in building these vessels and equipment. Like, I think we need at least 3 aircraft carriers as a country. One for the Pacific, one for the Atlantic, one for Hudson Bay in the north.
Yep.
I don't think that's unreasonable. And I think obviously a few destroyers and a few subs and drones and bombers and fighter jets and everything else.
Well,
Hey Ted, how's it going, brother?
Hey Ted, hope all is well.
Oh.
Yeah, what was this? Keep ridiculing the New World Order. It's unworkable anyway. Yeah. Russia has no aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers to protect our sovereignty. LOL.
I mean, I, I don't understand what's so like you look at the giant landmass of resources that we are. You don't think China would come and take that if they thought they could?
Right?
Right.
You don't think they're already kind of doing that through like corporate takeover?
Dude, they
Right.
own chunks of Vancouver Island. They own chunks of British Columbia. They own chunks of Ontario. They own chunks of Quebec. Fucking, like, come on.
Like, you know, we basically got to take our country back and be able to defend it from invasion, you know?
Right.
Like, that's why
Why do you think they're coming into all these provinces in our country? Because, well, it's like that Red Dawn movie, man. You're just gonna come out one day, go to your grocery store, and you're gonna be seeing soldiers airdropping from the sky.
Oh, and then what you're going to do, right, is you're going to hand them your certificate of live birth, and you're going to say, listen, you can't put me in a concentration camp because I have a certificate of live birth. No, I don't consent to contract with you, sir. I don't consent to contract with you. You know,
They'll just drop you right there.
right?
They'll just shoot you right there. Yeah, that's it. Right. Bye. Oh, we can't control you? Okay.
But even then, you're not a number, so who cares?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obsolete.
Daisy, no, we all own the land.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole point, right? So we have to be able to defend the land from foreign invasion, which
foreign
is
and domestic,
which is ongoing, you know. And we won't be able to do that as a bunch of splintered sovereign separate entities. You know, I think if you look at it geographically, Canada is more space than any historical empire aside from the Soviet Union.
Right.
Like, you know, Canada is bigger than ancient Rome, than ancient Greece, than, you know, all the land that Alexander the Great had, right?
Oh, I know, but we've only got 36 million people here, man. We're, you know, and we've only got, what was it? 90 a total. No, not even. It was 60,000. We have 60,000 Canadian military troops. That's it.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to say is that we need to, as a country, in order to hold on to all this land that we have, we need to start looking at ourselves as an empire, you know, from coast to coast to coast. And, you know, I think if we're going to talk about sovereignty, you know, we should be talking about Canada and its sovereignty in the world, you know,
right?
Where we're running our government again, our government is doing our will, and more importantly, how we're dealing with the outside world.
Oh, I agree 100%, man. But again, like, well, maybe we don't need, like Daisy was saying, maybe we don't even need big numbers to get to that level. We just need enough people will stand up.
Oh, there it goes. You still there?
I'm still here.
He got booted. Thomas got booted.
Yeah, I know.
I figured we're at the hour mark there. We're going to look at our viewers.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Our viewers are going up and down.
Oh, I know. They always are.
I think we're getting Yeah. I don't want to say it because I know what's going to happen.
What, you think we're about to get a strike? I don't think so. I don't think well, whatever. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen,
Who cares? Who cares?
I don't know where Thomas went there. I'll give him a
Unless
minute to see if he comes back.
this is Wi-Fi, which was strange. Perfect. Pooh Scissors, thank you. Yes, you are correct. I'll talk to you after. Canada is one of very few countries. Yeah, we are only one of few countries. Like what? Actually, one of the only countries in the world that can sustain themselves, self-sustain themselves.
Right.
We have everything.
Yeah, I can't see a strike on this either, Pooh.
Perfect.
I can't see getting a strike on it, you know?
Okay.
But it doesn't look like Thomas is coming back here. I think we'll just end it off there for now. Maybe his phone died or something.
Oh, that's good then. Well, at least he reminds me of us. Our phones are always dying. Shit.
Right. But hey, it's been an hour live. We went over quite a bit of stuff, and I think it was pretty good. I think I want to end her here, and yeah, I'm gonna do our Maple Blazed outro so that you guys go and sub over to Maple Blazed Productions, because that's where we're gonna be. Most of the times we do high lives here, and stuff we think we could possibly get a strike on, we won't do on Maple Blazed, because we want to keep that channel, keep it a talk show, keep everything legit, and well, we want to blow up the internet. So
Yeah. What time is it anyways?
it's 7:36.
So it's 10:30 here.
11:36 for you,
At 10:30.
or 10:36?
Sure. Yeah. So cool. It was a good live.
Yeah, I'm thinking that kind of want to do a high live. Oh, you don't have to join me if you don't want to.
No, it's just funny.
What, you think I'm funny?
It is funny. It was a really good conversation. Everybody loved the conversation tonight. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Look at the link I sent. Loads of good things happening. What link?
Sounds good, Daisy.
Great show.
Alrighty, well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen,
have a good night, y'all.